Hey, what's up guys? Jonathan here with Florida Turf Pros. In this video, I want to answer a question from a subscriber named Brent. And Brent had asked me why I chose to go into residential lawn care whenever I started my business rather than the commercial side of things. And it got me thinking, guys. It's a little off topic, but I want to just go ahead and put this out there just so you're on the same page as this channel moves forward. I'd like to start doing a weekly Q&A, a question and answer session, because I get so many phone calls that I can't return, guys, and emails and stuff. And frankly, I just don't have time to do it. But I think this will really help us both out to where I can, provide feedback to some of the questions that I get. And also it'll help me, provide you guys content that you're asking. So I think it'd be a win-win for both of us. And again, if you call our business line or you're sending me an email and I'm not replying, look, man, you'll understand, whenever you have a business and then you're doing a YouTube thing, like you just don't have time to respond to everybody. But I think this is a good solution moving forward. So again, I like to do a weekly Q&A. And the way we're going to do it is this, is down in the comment section, just write out weekly Q&A : and then type your question out. And what I'll do is once a week I'll select some of those questions and I'll sit down and I'll put some thought into answering those. Whether that's lawn business advice or just whatever you want to ask me, I'm happy to sit down and provide that information for you guys. And again, I think that'll be a win-win for both of us. So again, just weekly Q&A : and type your question. I'll be happy to get back to you with a video, and that would help me out with providing you guys content as well. So again, getting back to Brent's question as to why I chose to do residential lawn care rather than commercial, I want to talk about that really quickly and give you three main reasons, Brent. And look, man, let me first say that I don't have an experience in commercial work. So what I'm going to say is I'm not going to give you a pros and cons of residential versus commercial. That's not what this is. This is just my reasoning on why I originally chose to do residential lawn care and why, after I've been doing it for a while, why I've chosen to stay in residential lawn care, okay? So the first thing for me was it was very attractive to have safety in numbers with residential lawn care. I did not like the idea, of having 30% of my business tied up into one commercial account. I understand you can make a lot of money with those big ticket items, but I think of it like the stock market. The more you're invested across different companies, the safer you are. You can hire client, fire client. It doesn't matter. When you have a lot of clients, it helps you weather the storm and just ride out those unexpected occurrences. But what happens is I felt like if I had a lot of my revenue tied up into a couple big accounts, and if I lose that account, I have employees now that I'm responsible for. That to me, it was very intimidating. I was like, what? I like safety in numbers. So that was one thing that was very attractive to me about residential lawn care. Okay, the second thing was that I found that there were higher margins in residential work than there was in commercial work. I found this out because I had talked to a bunch of my buddies in the area who had landscaping businesses and just some guys that I knew that did this type of work. And I talked before I started my business. I did quite a bit of research, guys, and I just asked them, about what kind of margins they were getting. And a lot of these guys had a good grasp on their business, and the general consensus was the margins are higher in residential if you know what you're doing, but the tickets are bigger in commercial work. And for me, it was important to be able to have high margins. I didn't necessarily want to have, a $1 million business in like 3 or 4 years. That wasn't my goal. My goal was to have a business that was pretty rock solid as far as the number of accounts that we have, but I really wanted to have high margins on those accounts and really yield maximum profit. And from the research that I've done leading up to starting my lawn care business, as well as since I've been in the field and have started the business the last 4 or 5 years, I've just found that we get higher margins on residential properties than most everybody is getting in commercial work for my market. Okay, and finally, something that was very attractive to me about residential lawn care was the payment terms. I could decide that I wanted to have clients auto charge, and after the service is done, the next week on Monday, and I could get paid as quickly as I want. Whereas most commercial properties, there's always a negotiation going on as to, are you going to send an invoice at the end of the month? Then you have to wait in that 30, are you kicking your can down the road for 60 days from the time you do your work? And to me, cash flow, with a background in finance that I have, before I even started my business, I knew how important it was if I wanted to bring on employees to be able to cash flow the business and constantly having cash come into your business. Cash is the lifeblood of your business, especially when you have employees and you have a little bit of overhead. You need that money constantly coming in. And I did not want to wait for my money, and that was something that was very attractive to me about residential lawn care, was that I could pretty much set it up the way that I wanted. Now that being said, I do have what I would call a few commercial accounts. They're not commercial accounts, but they are HOAs, and even with them, they have to prepay at the first of the month. We are on a service agreement throughout the entire year. What that helps us do is it provides some winter income for us. It helps out with a seasonality issue, but again, I go back to, if they were going to, if we were going to service them, they had to be on our terms, okay? They had to do business the way that we wanted to, and it's worked out very, very well. They pay like clockwork on the first of the month. I send the invoice the week before, and I get a check in the mailbox. So it's worked out very, very good. But again, the three main reasons that I decided on residential lawn care was diversification, it was higher numbers, and then being able to cash flow the business the way that I wanted. So if you're considering starting out in lawn care, those are the reasons why I chose residential. But let me say, I know some guys that straight crush it in commercial lawn care, but that's a different ball game. It's just a different way of doing business. You need different equipment, a different mindset, really, different mindset in customer service and dealing with those types of clients, rather than a little more extra hand holding with residential. It's like apples and oranges, one's not better than the other, but for me and my market, as my market was growing, I just felt like there was a real opportunity to provide real value and real customer service to the residential market for my area, and it's really paid off really well for us. And I'm very, very thankful and glad that I decided to push more towards residential than commercial in the beginning. So Brent, I hope that answers your question, man, and I hope that this kind of steers you in the right direction. But again, do your research before you decide on 100% residential or 100% commercial, because every market is different, and I would just encourage you, do your research before you pull the trigger either way. Good luck, bud.